jos aloitetaan, että kerrot sä pikkasen vaikka itsestäsi ja mistä tuut.
Okay.
Mä voin vaihtaa, sulle tuli yksi slaidi mukana. Noin.
Yes. Eli hei kaikki, ja tosiaan olen Tuuli Bollmann ja työskentelen Keskolla Senior Data Engineerinä.
Whoops, I might have made a mistake and changed the language.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was thinking like, are we switching to Finnish?
Why did I
But
do
I'm like,
that?
okay, your lead, I follow.
Hello, Tuuli. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself and where
All
you come
right,
from?
the top. So I'm still Tuuli Bollmann. And yes, I worked at Kesko as a senior data engineer. I've been there for 4 years now, and that whole time I've been with the LUMI program, which we're going to be talking about today. In fact, I was hired for that specific purpose. My background is maybe a bit unusual. I'm kind of a late arrival to this data area. I have long history of humanities and arts with particular passion for Asia-Pacific studies. But in 2019, I made the very logical and obvious choice to go through this bootcamp type of re-education and start my career as a data engineer. So before we move to LUMI specifically, it might be illuminating to take a look at a little bit of figures from Kesko. I think for most people in the audience, Kesko is quite familiar, at least as a name. But maybe not everyone is aware that Kesko actually is made up of 3 different divisions. We have grocery trade, GT, which is what will be kind of in the focus today. We also have business and technical trade, BTT, and then we have car trade. And as you can see from the net sales, grocery trade is the largest one. Another interesting thing I think worth mentioning is that Kesko works with this retailer business model. So Kesko's relationship with retailers is that of a wholesale partner. And we have roughly 850 retailers. And in terms of customers, 3.5 million people have Plussa card in their possession. So most of the household in Finland are customers of Kesko.
Good. Okay, and so Project LUMI was all about capturing the transactions that these customers make and whatever. So tell us a bit about that. Tell us a bit about LUMI. Tell us about the data that you guys are handling and so on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So LUMI was kind of born from this business-driven need to have all these different sources pulled together, combined, modeled, have these shared common business rules already pre-applied so that it is easy for analysts to use. Obviously, it is not the first enterprise data warehouse that Kesko has had, but there was desire for improved data quality, also improved data availability, so that the data-driven decision-making could also be improved. Another thing that was desired was more agility to the development, because the old warehouse was not maintained in-house. Doing any further development was always a bit of a project of its own. So one of the goals was also to build up the in-house capabilities to further develop and keep up the new warehouse.
Also, I understood about we had a chance to talk before that what for a layman's term could be simple data, just a lot of transactions coming due, but there seems to be a lot of complexity when it comes to the data and where it's being used and whatsoever. Can you talk a bit about bit about that, how the transactions actually are by nature and how they've been used, etc.
Yeah. Obviously, I think every business has their own unique kind of data issues and data characteristics. And while retail world seems really simple on its kind of surface level, you think it's a customer who buys a product from a store, but then all of these elements can have these kind of further complications to themselves. For example, it's easy to think that the retail transaction line level, so kind of the receipt line, would be the finest granularity that there is. But actually, that also can be multiplied because, for example, a product can be part of several different campaigns at the same time. And all of those connect to that one specific product, and then you need to kind of have the business logic to know which one of those campaigns was actually implemented and what the customer got. So that's like one of the things.
One of these examples, and there was lots of also like authorities that are interested in some of the data, and there was plenty of those things. But we put, by the way, some numbers for people who like the numbers. We got to have our numbers still, Veronica, right? So what about the consumers of that data? Because obviously the value materializes when people actually use that data to drive better decisions, etc. So what can you say about the consumers around LUMI?
Yeah. I'd say our primary consumers are the retailers. The retailer reporting was the first thing that was implemented in LUMI because it touches on most of the core data that makes up kind of the business. And it was really important that we would be able to deliver them near real-time reporting on the sales data. And that was actually the first thing that was done in LUMI. It includes, obviously, the cash register data coming in, but then it is enriched by product data, store data, customer data, and then a variety of campaign data. And it runs roughly every 3 minutes, so it's quite fresh for the retailers to see. And that one wasn't a small undertaking, but because it is like such a core concept of what the business is about, it was in that way a great first case to tackle. Besides the retailers, we nowadays have also quite a few other end users for our data. Obviously, there is Kesko and all the analysts and business inside Kesko. One of the things that we've been able to provide for them and the retailers that was not previously possible is campaign reporting, simply because the campaign data comes from many disparate sources, and it comes in huge volumes, while being also quite far from what business understands the campaigns to be. So in order to process that massive volume and find the business rules for it, we needed the new capacity of this LUMI platform to be able to just process all of that data, and it has opened a lot of new kind of windows into what is actually happening in the campaigns. We also serve as the source of data for KAI. Kesko has had this kind of AI or machine learning for quite a while. For example, generating all those personalized offers for people that you get if you have the K-Ruoka application installed. Those are calculated by KAI based on our data. Also, targeted marketing is involved in this process, and they are in the middle of moving all their pipelines to be sourced from LUMI. Then, because we handle also customer data, there are GDPR requirements, so we need to report to customers if they so request what kind of data we have. So that is one thing where we are the source for certain of Kesko's data to be sort of reported to customer if they make that request. One more thing that I would like to mention is the vendor aspect. Kesko has launched this Vendors World, where we provide data to our vendor partners. And while the Vendors World itself is not built by LUMI or not operated in LUMI, the data is largely sourced from us.
Wow. So when we think about it, we've been here long enough that your data is updated 4 times while we've been standing on the stage now, and you have all these people using it. So I guess it's fair to call that scaling success. So what do you feel are some of the success criteria or success factors that you guys have had to be able to do all that?
I think we have 3 main sort of success factors. And the first one that I have to mention is the team. We have had amazing people working in the LUMI project over the years. In the beginning, we had quite a few consultants from Solita, and many of them are now working for ADE, so you know they are hardcore professionals. But we also have had great success in building our in-house team. We have hardworking, dedicated, and caring people who are putting a lot of effort into the work and who sincerely care about the data and the quality that we produce. Another key element that I would like to point is that LUMI was actually quite well planned from the beginning. There was the clear kind of business need for it, but there were also defined cases that were prioritized, and there was understanding of what data would be needed to realize those cases. And then kind of related to that second success factor is the third, which is time and space. We were given time and space to do things properly, especially in the very beginning. We established development patterns, we wrote things down, we planned things, we had discussions with business, with legal, we implemented automation where it was required, and we documented things and made sure that they worked as they need to work. And I think that core work that was done, that very sort of structural kind of bottom there that was built is what has enabled us to expand and build on top of it and build next to it.
Yeah, so you're able to avoid the typical thing where in the rush you build something and think you're going to come back to it when you have time to fix it, which I guess we already saw never happens, like nowhere.
Obviously, sometimes there are certain solutions that we're not that proud of, but I'd say as a whole, we are very proud of what we have built.
Yeah, obviously, wonderful for us. Agile Data Engine has been part of this journey from the beginning. Any comments regarding that? What's the role of ADE with all that, and how you guys have been getting value out of it?
Yeah, so ADE is our ETL tool for the LUMI data warehouse, and I think it works really well for us, partially because our chosen warehouse model is Data Vault, and ADE makes the Data Vault implementation really easy. Obviously, it doesn't do the model for you, but once you have the model, it is technically quite easy to execute all those loads and make that happen. And personally, I am a big believer that, particularly for analytical warehouses, where you want to have long-term historized data, Data Vault is an excellent model because you can build it piece by piece. You can refactor parts without disrupting the whole. And it just works, like ADE works so well with Data Vault that I think it was absolutely the right call for us.
Yeah, it was an interesting quote we actually heard from somebody at Kesko where Matti was trying to get some insight is that how is our product working for you, and heard that somebody high up said that really well because I never hear of it. It just works, which is normally something that you don't see happening that well. One thing you talked a lot about when we first met and we started talking about it, and you having the respected title of data engineer and stuff, you didn't start talking to me about data or pipelines. You started very much talking about business, the process, and the problems you're trying to solve. So can you articulate a bit about that in the team and how you guys work in LUMI? How are you guys prioritizing that and making it all happen?
Yeah. I think one of the things that ADE also kind of enables is that you can have data engineers like myself who are much more interested in the data than in the technology. So when you don't have to think about the technology so much and you don't have to focus on solving problems there, you can focus on solving the problem of how to translate the data that the source systems give into something that the business actually understands. Because most of the sources are operational systems, so the data that they produce can be quite far from what the business actually thinks the data will look like or their understanding of the process is. And then I think as data engineers and sort of as data experts, our position is to understand what business thinks things are like, and then look at the data and try to figure out how that data can be transformed into the form that the business will then understand.
Yeah. So LUMI, for those who don't speak Finnish, stands for snow. And we are not that many weeks away before snow starts falling again and things look white and nice. So what are your sort of desires and hopes for where we'd like to see LUMI development and all that going forward?
Yeah. So data warehouse development is not really very flashy or fancy, I don't think. It doesn't really produce things that make people go, wow. But if we think back to one of the slides that Veronica had with the maturity leading to rot, my greatest hope is that we can continue on the path of maturity, of building, of maintaining and caring, having everything continue to work, kind of hoping that we are not taken for granted in the sense that, oh, it's built, we don't need to do anything anymore. Because there will be always new sources, there will be new systems that are replacing the old ones, there will be new things business figures out like, oh, actually we need insight into this aspect. So it's not like there isn't work to do, and I'm kind of really hoping that we can continue to do our work and continue to care for the data.
Wow, that's a great way to finish. Thank you so much, Tuuli. So great to have you here.
Thank you.